What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Scroll Cup with honestly a pretty strong team, with Lucario in the lead, Golisopod as the safe swap now that I've finally got the right moves on this Pokemon, and a level 50 Frillish as the closer. Now Frillish received both a buff and a nerf this season, with Hex generating more energy and dealing more damage, but of course Nightshade got a nerf to its damage, but in my opinion I think the improved pacing makes it an overall buff, and it also allowed it to absolutely dominate Annihilape in the endgame. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Would you consider the Scroll Cup to be one of the top 3 worst limited Greatly metas we've ever had? And if not, what are your top 3? Let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Lucario into Annihilape. So obviously not where we want to see it. We're going to say swap into Golisopod. The opponent is going to stay in initially before eventually swapping into a Toxapex. Now unfortunately Toxapex is going to completely wall the energy from our Golisopod. However, even if I was running Aerial Ace for coverage, Aerial Ace not the best move. Actually, I believe it'd only do like maybe 1 or 2 more damage than an Aqua Jet anyway, so not the worst thing ever. And the opponent overfarms, allowing me to reach a 3rd Aqua Jet and getting them into the red health range. Now this is huge for me. It won't allow me to flip the matchup as they do take me out with the Sludge Wave, but now we can come in with Lucario and go for a Force Palm farm down. Poison Jabs, they're double resisted, not doing much damage. Even a Brine only does about 45% of our HP. We can get the farm down there. Now I'm not running Shadow Ball, but the opponent probably going to have to respect the damage anyways. We go for Thunder Punch, grab a shield from the Annihilape, and the opponent is going to bank a ton of energy before swapping into a Brion. Now, of course, my team is not weak to Charm at all, so actually, Brion really is not a problem for this team. We can now overfarm, fire off another Nightshade. Nightshade is going to be no-shield the opponent, just fully sacrificing the Brion there. It makes a lot of sense, but they're still going to need to throw a Rage Fist to take us out. They can boost their attack several times. They're not going to be able to counter farm us down, so I'm going to shield here. The opponent actually throws on really poor timing, allowing a full Hex in for free. Now we go for 1 Hex, fire off Nightshade number 1, grab the final shield, and I'm able to outpace them to a 2nd charge move. And of course, from this range, it takes out the Annihilape, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle, see Lucario and once again into Annihilape. So, going to be safe swapping into that Golisopod once again. And the opponent is actually going to stay in this time, allowing me to reach an Aqua Jet, which is absolutely fun here. We're going to go straight for Aqua Jet. The opponent is now going to bank the energy swap into our Araquanid, maybe staying in just to check if we were on Aerial Ace or not. But either way, we can go for the X-Scissor. X-Scissor does some okay damage, and we're able to reach another X-Scissor on the CMP tie as well, which is best case scenario for us, getting them once again into that red health range. I'm gonna no shield. The opponent full sends a Bug Buzz, but again we can come in with Lucario. We are double resisting the Bug Bite damage. We can commit to a full farm down. Worst case scenario is a Water Pulse, but actually it's just a Bubble Beam. They swap back into the Annihilape. I should actually live a Rage Fist, so I'm gonna no shield, bank the energy, come in with the Frillish. They are boosted, so I will definitely respect the damage from the next Rage Fist, but now I can overfarm with my Frillish quite considerably. I'm actually gonna farm up to back-to-back charge moves here. Nightshade number 1, probably going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and the opponent's going to have a Toxapex in the back. And another great thing about Frillish, we completely wall Toxapex. Going to resist, obviously, the Poison Jab damage, the Brine damage, the Sludge Wave damage, and now I'm just going to overfarm massively, farming up to back-to-back Nightshades here. I do have to be slightly wary of a catch onto their Araquanid, but either way, even if they do successfully catch a Charge Move, I still think I'm fine. I'm going to shield anyways, just in case they full send the Sludge Wave, as that still would do some decent damage. From that range, we go for Nightshade once again, and we're already at another Nightshade here. I don't think the opponent will even reach another Sludge Wave, so I can just commit to a full Hex farm down, getting the farm down there, farming down the Araquanid as well, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top end there, of course, I still had a lot of energy on my Lucario anyway, so even if they did take out the Frillish, I should have been fine. But either way, into the next battle, the opponent's going to come in with a Gastrodon, and we're going to swap straight away into our Golisopod. The opponent fires off a Body Slam there. Now, unfortunately, they will actually just barely outpace me to the next charge move here, I believe. So we go for the Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet, going to be no-shielded, and yeah, they do reach another move. Technically, I do live the Body Slam, but I'd rather fight for switch advantage here, knowing that I can align my Lucario up against the Mana Buzz, and maybe maybe people think, well, a flying type up against a fighting type, Lucario, not going to have the best matchup there, but actually, it is a pretty positive matchup for Lucario. We can go for back-to-back Aqua Jets here, get them very low to the point where we can probably just commit to a full force palm farm down. So I'm going to no-shield this, the opponent fires off the Aerial Ace, but actually, they are close to another charge move, so I will just fire off the Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch, going to be no-shielded, and the opponent's going to have Annihilape in the back once again. So we're going to come in with the Frillish. This time we're down a shield, so I'm going to no-shield the first move. Of course, Rage Fist, super effective damage, but it's a non-shadow. It really doesn't do that much damage, and again, like I mentioned, even though they're boosting up their attack, they will not be able to counter farm me down, so we can shield the next charge move, and I should still be able to outpace them to back-to-back charge moves. So we are going to go and fire off the Nightshade here, and actually, no, never mind. The opponent will actually reach a charge move as we get to the next Nightshade. Nope, never mind, I'm thinking of a different battle here. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Either way, Nightshade gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. Yeah, sorry, there are a lot of teams that are basically the exact same thing, so I've cut out a few of them where I played ever so slightly differently, but either way, we still get the win there. But into the next battle, we're going to see the opponent's going to swap into a Snarl Mana Buzz, which is obviously not too bad for us, as I can take an Aerial Ace, and they're never going to be able to farm me down with Snarl, so we can go and fire off the Aqua Jet there. Aqua Jet is going to do respectable damage. We can fire off Aqua Jet number 2, and depending on how much damage this does, I might actually shield the next charge move here, just so I can grab a shield back from the Mana Buzz. So they go for an Aerial Ace there. We can now overfarm, fire off an Aqua Jet just before they reach the next Aerial Ace. And at this point, I'm happy to grab a shield back from the opponent. And I can come in with my Lucario and actually just go for a full force palm farm down. So Aerial Ace gets the KO there. We come in with Lucario. Unfortunately, they do reach a last-second charge move, but Aerial Ace only going to do like 35% of our HP. We can go straight for the close combat into the Shadow Swampert coming back in. The opponent does not respect the damage. We get the one-shot. I swap out straight away just to clear the debuff, and they've got a Skuntank in the back. So at this point, I'm firing off the Nightshade. I know it's resisted damage, but it doesn't really matter at this point. The fact that they no shield means we can come in with Lucario and just fully force palm farm them down there. Poison jabs, they're double resisted damage. These force palms are absolutely chunking here. We can just safely shield up the crunch. They do debuff my defense, but it makes no difference. Force palm gets the farm down. I'm able to take out the Shadow Skuntank, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Mantine in the lead, and we are going to stay in this matchup. A lot of Mantine in the lead have a Gastrodon and Annihilape in the back, so I'm going to shield the charge move as the opponent fires off the Aerial Ace. We're now going to go for one Force Palm, fire off the Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. They let that go, and we can come in with Galissapod, and even better for me, the opponent actually swaps into the Gastrodon, which is where I want it aligned. So we can go fire off the Aqua Jet, and this game should be well and truly wrapped up already. I'm just going to no-shield as the opponent fires off the Body Slam. I'm now going to overfarm, throw an Aqua Jet just before they reach the next charge move here, and if they do shield this up, then I actually probably come in with my Lucario, but nope, never mind, they let that go through. They come back in with the Shadow Annihilape. Usually, Shadow Annihilape, if you give it 2 shields, it would be very good, but unfortunately, up against this team here, we can come in with the Frillish. Again, no shield that first charge move, and these hexes, they are actually chunking because this is a Shadow Annihilape. I can just safely shield up the next Rage Fist, go for the Hex Farm down here. We've actually got back-to-back Nightshades anyways, but we get the farm down there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Lantern in the lead. So, a fairly okay matchup for us. They're going to swap into a Snarl Mana Buzz, and this is a great matchup for Lucario, especially since they are behind on energy. We can go for the Thunder Punch here. I can no-shield one of these charge moves, and then just fully farm them down, I believe. So, that's what we're going to go for here. Actually, nope, never mind. We're going to fire off a Thunder Punch, just because otherwise I'd be forced to use a shield. The opponent actually going to shield there, though, so that's fine with me. I'm definitely going to commit equal shields, and then just go for a full Force Palm farm down. Now, the opponent's going to come in with a Charmbrion, so we swap straight away into Galissapod, hoping to bait out the Lantern once again. We can go straight for X-Scissor here. X-Scissor going to do some decent damage in this matchup, and we're able to reach another X-Scissor before they can reach a Thunderbolt. X-Scissor number 2 grabs the final shield from the opponent. It looks like they won't be able to commit to a full farm down, so they fire off a charge move. Surf, resisted damage, but it does get the KO from that range. We can go straight for a Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch doesn't quite take out the Lantern there. I tried to swap out, but unfortunately it doesn't go through. But either way, it doesn't really matter. At this point, just in case the Lantern does have a Thunderbolt loaded, I'm going to no shield. It's just an Aqua Jet. I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back Nightshades. Of course, from this range, Nightshade will be enough damage to take out the Brion. And then, of course, we've got another Nightshade for the Lantern coming back in. Nightshade number 2 takes out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into next battle, we see Morpeko in the lead. So, I'll be honest, I did not see many Morpeko at all in the battles that I did with this team. And the few that I did see actually caused me a little bit of problems because even though, of course, yes, Galissapod does have X's of full coverage, we're mostly dealing resisted Shadow Claw damage. They're probably just going to double shield anyways. And then, of course, Frillish is really going to struggle up against Morpeko. And Lucario, when shields are down, does not want to see an Aura Will. Even a resisted Dark Aura Will probably going to one-shot us anyways. So, at this point, really problematic as they are on, obviously, Shadow Quagsire having Stone Edge, so I'm forced to double shield to maintain alignment, but this is where it becomes really problematic. We can go for the X-Scissor, and the opponent goes for the perfect overfarm here, throwing just as we're reaching X-Scissor number 2. They actually go for a Seed Bomb, which is very interesting. I don't know why they go for Seed Bomb there, unless maybe they're expecting me to try and catch it onto like a Gastrodon or something, but either way, it doesn't really matter. They are 1 away from a charge move, I believe, on the Morpeko. We go for the Nightshade there. I've, of course, got no shields remaining, so this Earth Power is going to do big damage. And I think to myself, I've got the Nightshade loaded, but I need a close combat on my Lucario. And unfortunately, I think what I should have done was maybe undercharge the Nightshade there and throw it. But unfortunately, Earth Power takes out Lucario, and we do end up losing that game. So, GG's up on there. Into the next battle, another Shadow Annihilape in the lead. So we say swap into Galissapod, and we're baiting out a Sea King. So honestly, not that bad for us. We can go straight for X-Scissor here. X-Scissor is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, which is kind of surprising since I expect they're probably going to go for an Icy Wind bait here. But a shield anyways, it is the Icy Wind. That's okay. I kind of need alignment here, but if I do get shields from the opponent, then I guess I'm fine with that. Either way, we go for X-Scissor. X-Scissor gonna be shielded. At this point, I'm expecting another Icy Wind, and it is another Icy Wind, which means I can go for another X-Scissor here. And at this point, X-Scissor going to be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. I'm coming with either Pokemon. Either way, Poison Jab will be resisted on either Pokemon. I'm hoping we can go for a Hex Farm down here, but actually it backfires as they live with 1 HP and a Dream. They make it to a charge move, but again, they just go straight for an Icy Wind. So what we're going to do here, we're going to fire off a Nightshade, and then eventually I will swap into my Lucario. So we go for Nightshade. We're debuffed. It doesn't do much damage there. We're now going to swap out, force the opponent to come back in with their Annihilape, and they're at a charge move already. So at this point, I'm just letting Lucario go down. Rage Fist gets the KO there. We can now come in with the Frillish, and I realize actually I probably could have overfarmed more than that, and I probably need a charge move when I come out. So I undercharge, I get the Hex through, and now we come out with a Nightshade loaded, which means I can fire this off before they debuff my attack, and that's going to be absolutely huge. Now I can go and shield up the Icy Wind. They debuff my attack here, which means Nightshade gonna do less damage, but at this point it doesn't really matter. We've landed one with full attack. Nightshade number 2 takes out the Dugong, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into next battle, we see a Quagsire in the lead. So, going to say swap into our Galissapod, and the opponent comes in with a Charmbrion. So, again, going to go for the X-Scissor here. X-Scissor, of course, because they are not actually a Fairy type, does quite a lot of damage, and I can outpace them to a second X-Scissor before they reach a charge move. X-Scissor number 2 grabs the first shield from the opponent, and I realize I can shield this and go for a Shadow Claw farm down. I'm going to come out with minimal HP, but I will maintain alignment, and I can fire off an Aqua Jet into the Quagsire coming back in. So, Aqua Jet is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. It does just under half their HP. We get them into the health range, and we're going to come in with our Frillish. Now, I'm going to no-shield the first charge move. The opponent full sends a Stone Edge there. I'm able to reach a Nightshade already, so going to fire off straight away. Nightshade is going to be shielded by the Quagsire, so at this point, I'm definitely also going to shield. The opponent fires off a Stone Edge before coming in with a Chestnut, and I make a big mistake here. What I should have done is banked the Ice Beam, swapped into Lucario, forced the opponent to go straight for a Superpower, debuffing their attack and their defense, which means I could have come back in with the Frillish, gone for the Ice Beam, and got the KO, but unfortunately, because I did it the wrong way round, they're able to get a simultaneous KO there, but they still had Quagsire in the back, and so we do end up losing that game. But GG's up on there. Into next battle, we see a Guzzlord in the lead. The opponent say swaps into Mandibuzz, and I'm kind of forced to stay in here. So we're going to go for a Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch does big damage, and at this point, we can shield this up. And I believe this is the matchup where I can just go for a full Force Palm farm down before the opponent reaches a second Aerial Ace. So the opponent's going to come in with a Gastrodon. I'm going to swap into Golisopod, and this is fine with me. I realize the opponent probably going to throw a Charge Move and then swap instantly back into their Guzzlord. So we're going to save the energy, fire off the X-Scissor here. X-Scissor is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. It does big damage, and I can also reach a second X-Scissor before the opponent farms me down. X-Scissor is going to grab the first shield from the opponent. We're going to come back in with a Lucario, and I'm actually going to no-shield, and I'm not going to go for a Charge Move here. Instead, I'm going to go for the Force Palm. Dragon Claw does some okay damage. We come out with a close combat loaded, and we are throwing it straight away, of course. Mud Slap gonna KO us anyways. The opponent uses their final shield, and now all we have to do on our Frillish is shield up a Charge Move and reach back-to-back Nightshades. And because Hex generates energy so quickly this season, we can go for 2 more Hexes, get to back-to-back Nightshades, and of course, the first Nightshade gonna do big damage. A second Nightshade will easily be enough damage from this range to take out the Gastrodon, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there into the next battle, see Lucario into a Shadow Drapion. So, a good lead matchup for us here. The opponent is going to swap into a Shadow Swampert. So, we're going to come in with our Golisopod. I'm going to no-shield the first move. The opponent does go for a Sludge, which does big damage there. But they're, of course, on Mud Shot. It's resisted damage. They're not going to be able to farm me down. We can go straight for Aqua Jet, throwing just before the opponent reaches their next Sludge. At this point, I'm just going to match shields in this situation here. They will not be able to farm me down. So again, we fire off the Aqua Jet just before they reach the next charge move. We get the KO there. They come back in with their Shadow Drapion, and we can go straight for another Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet does big damage there, but they do get a very nice Poison Sting farm down. We're going to come in with Lucario. We are going to no-shield the first charge move. Aqua Tail is going to do quite a lot of damage there, but they swap into a Guzzlord, and that's absolutely fine with me. I'm going straight for Close Combat here. Close Combat grabs the final shield. Now we can swap into our Frillish, and because we get a 0-turn swap there, I will be able to outpace them to an Ice Beam before the opponent reaches back-to-back Brutal Swings. They're just going for the Dragon Tail there. I can go straight for Ice Beam. Ice Beam, super effective damage. It gets the KO. The opponent needs to go for Crunch to get the KO here, but they also need to come out with an Aqua Tail loaded for Lucario, which means we can go straight for Nightshade, take out the Shadow Drapion, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there into the next battle, see a Primeape in the lead. So, going to say swap into Golisopod. The opponent choosing to stay in initially before eventually swapping into another Snarl Mandibuzz. So, we're going straight for Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is actually going to do less damage up against this Mandibuzz. So, this must be a much higher ranked PvPIV Mandibuzz here. As you can see, a third Aqua Jet will not threaten a shield. And unfortunately, if the opponent realizes that, they can no shield and still maintain alignment, which is not going to be ideal for us. But we go for Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is going to be no-shielded, and unfortunately doesn't quite get the KO there. So at this point, I realize we're really low. What I don't really want to do is give Primeape an energy advantage. So we come in with Lucario. They're probably not going to go straight for a close combat, so I'm actually going to no-shield this, and then I will swap into my Frillish. Rage Fist, of course, not going to do too much damage, but they are now boosted. I think I still have to no-shield the first charge. Rage Fist does big damage there, but unfortunately, I miscalculated their energy, so we're now going to throw on CMP. Rage Fist is going to grab my first shield there, and unfortunately stuck in CMP. Nightshade is going to get the KO, but they've got a Shadow Claw, Shadow for Alligator. They'll be able to farm me down here, and I don't think Lucario can reach back-to-back Thunder Punches either. So we swap into Lucario, hoping the opponent will throw a charge move. They throw at the last second, but it just doesn't really matter at this point. I'm going to no-shield. Hydro Cannon gets the KO there. One more Shadow Claw, takes out the Frillish, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG to opponent there into the next battle, see a Mandibuzz in the lead, and once again they say swap into Gastrodon, so we're going to come in with our Golisopod. We're going straight for Aqua Jet here, and the opponent has not thrown a charge move yet, so that's fine with me. They're going to farm up 2 back-to-back charge moves. I'm going to no-shield the first move, and they actually full send an Earth Power. They debuff my defense there, which is obviously not ideal, but of course that means they're not going to reach that Body Slam, so we can overfarm, fire off the Aqua Jet, and I should still be able to reach another Aqua Jet into the Mandibuzz coming in. So we're going to go straight for Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet doesn't do too much damage there, but that's okay. We're going to come in with Lucario, and we don't know what they've got in the back yet. So what we're going to do, use our shield here. The opponent fires off the Aerial Ace, and I expect the opponent will eventually swap, and then they come in with their own Lucario. So we've got to be careful. We go for the Thunder Punch, grab a shield from the opponent, and Frillish should be able to tank a Thunder Punch pretty comfortably. And we've seen already, double resisted fighting type damage is not going to be able to fast move farm us down. So I overfarm here. We fire off the Nightshade. Nightshade going to be no shielded, and we're one away from an Ice Beam. So we throw it straight away into the Mana Buzz coming back in. Ice Beam is no shielded by the opponent, and that is huge for me because now they're in range. Well, one more Force Palm takes out the Mana Buzz, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle to see Azumarill in the lead. So we're going to stay in this matchup initially, go straight for a Thunder Punch here, which is of course going to hit for super effective damage, and then I will swap immediately into my Galissapod here as we can tank whatever they throw, but the opponent comes in with more Peko. So we're going straight for Exeter here. Of course, they are resisting the Shadow Claw damage, which means if they use both their shields, then they should be fine here, but we are going to shield in this matchup. The opponent does full send an Aura Wheel, which is very nice because, of course, it does cost one more Thunder Shock to get to an Aura Wheel compared to a Psychic Fangs bait. We go for another Exeter there, grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and we are going to shield in return. Make sure we can get rid of the Morpeko straight away, but we overfarm, and the opponent makes a brilliant catch there, catching the resisted Exeter onto Azumarill. So what we're going to do, we're actually just going to stay in here, force the opponent to throw their energy, as the opponent does go for an Ice Beam, taking us out, but we can come in with our Frillish, and then I make a pretty significant mistake here. I'm going to no shield, of course, we've got no shields in play, but I don't bank a Charge Sweep. Instead, I swap straight away into Lucario, getting ahead on energy, which is great and everything, and they come in with a Guzzlord as well, but I overfarm too much, and even though these Dragon Tails are resisted damage, they're doing a lot of damage. Close combat gets the KO there, but I'm not able to get the charge move damage registration error there, and unfortunately, the opponent was one away from a charge move there. If I banked the Nightshade, even though it's resisted, I think it would have taken out more Peko, but I didn't, and so as a result, we do lose that game. But GG's opponent there into next battle. We see a Toxapex in the lead, so this is a fine matchup for Lucario. We're going straight for Thunder Punch, dealing big damage, and I'm actually going to use my shield here. The opponent goes for a Brine before swapping into a Charmeowscarada, which is not a good matchup for them, as I'm still able to fully Force Palm farm them down. And let's see what the opponent wants to do here. They come back in with Toxapex. I realize I could go for a Thunder Punch there, but actually, I'm going to save all of that energy, come in with my Frillish, and just completely sponge the damage. They go for Sludge Wave. It doesn't do much damage there. I'm going to farm up to 100 energy. I did think about undercharging this, but I realized their Switch Clock probably coming up at this point, so they would just be able to swap out anyways. So now they come in with a Shiftry. So we're going straight for Nightshade. Nightshade grabs a shield, and we're able to reach an Ice Beam as well. So the opponent has to shield this up, because if they don't, Ice Beam nearly one-shots them. One more Hex gets the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the final battle of this video, leading into another Toxapex, and again, going to do the exact same thing here. Go for a Thunder Punch after one more Force Palm. We're going to go for the Thunder Punch straight away, and again, it's no shielded, but they swap into a Shadow Annihilape. So this time, we come in with the Frillish, they throw on poor timing, giving me a full Hex in for free. They go for the Rage Fist there, and up against a Shadow Annihilape, actually does us quite a lot of damage, but either way, we go for Nightshade. The opponent no shields that. They come in with a Shadow Sableye, but because I overfarmed, we're able to reach a Nightshade. Nightshade is going to be shielded by the Sableye. At this point, this is looking pretty good for us. We're going to come in with our Galissapod, and the opponent will outpace us to a charge move. So I'm just going to shield this, and the opponent is actually going to go and full send a Dazzling Gleam there before swapping back into Toxapex. And you might be thinking, why are we throwing a charge move here? Well, Arca Jet is going to put them into Force Palm farm down range, and I should still tank this charge move. So Sludge Wave doesn't quite take us out there. We bank the charge move. We swap into Lucario. They do reach a last second Brine, which is a bit unfortunate. I would live this, but I might as well just shield anyways. Shadow Sableye will not outpace me to a foul play before I get to back-to-back Thunder Punches. First one grabs the final shield. I can reach Thunder Punch number 2, and Thunder Punch won't quite be enough damage to get the KO, but it doesn't matter. One more Force Palm takes out the Sableye, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.